It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown. I'm just telling you to fight for your dreams, but it's not what it seems. Man, it's hard to be seen when everybody wants to be king. Yeah, they all wanna ring. Yeah, we all wanna be.
We are here live on Lions Nation Unite, and we got a really fun one for you folks today. It's gonna be a lot of laughter, a lot of smiles, a lot of happiness, because the guy who got on here, and I'm really excited, is Dose of Dion. What's going on, man?
Yeah, man. Hey, thanks for having me. You know I'm pumped, man. I'm glad to be back on here. Hey, this is exciting. This is an exciting time of year.
Oh, it's absolutely exciting. We were talking behind the scenes, folks, and we were just laughing nearly in tears, talking about the creative ideas you got to come with a little after the NFL draft, and how it's like you just want to take your head and smash it across the wall as a content creator because there's nothing going on for about 2 months. It absolutely sucks. And you got to have that grip, man, because your teeth is grinding. You got to have that grip for that period. But we got 9 drinks in the building. What's going on, my man? Bobo Lane, Jamie Ward, Weston Lyon. We got G. John Dusage. I destroyed your name. Jeff Otten, Weston Lyon, Mark Malik. What's going on, folks? And we're going to talk some Detroit Lions. Obviously, we're going to talk about DJ Chark, because I want to hear what the thoughts of Dose of Dion is upon him coming back. I'm sure he watched the interview with him, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and the other St. Brown from the Chicago Bears. But we did have a development. The Detroit Lions hired Scotty Montgomery as assistant head coach, running backs coach, formerly of the Indianapolis Colts, and he will be replacing Deuce Staley. So, hey, what's up, Rod Detroit, or Rod Podcast? Keep screwing that up. What do you think about this hiring, man? We got Scotty in there for Deuce Staley there, Dose of Dion.
Yeah, man. I think first off, losing Deuce was tough. I know, as soon as I saw, I felt that. You know, I usually don't feel it like that. Like after I heard the Deuce news, because I think it was mainly because of Hard Knocks. You felt like that personality was the Lions. That's kind of the vibe that I got. I was like, man, he was just what this was about. So it was really tough to see that. But then when we saw that name of Scotty Montgomery, first off, I was pumped because I knew he had been rising quickly, and he was one of those guys that a lot of teams had on their radar. And I think, it was reported that there was other teams that would have been interested in bringing him in. So to give him for that same position, it kind of felt like what we did last year and the year before, when we're bringing in these coaches that would have had interest elsewhere. And it's like, I think it's perfect for him personally. I think this is a great spot for him to be in as an assistant head coach, to kind of get back into that and basically do the Dan Campbell he did with Sean Payton. But on top of that, man, it's kind of difficult, I think, to take a look at what he's done necessarily. But at the same time, when you see the how fast he's rose, I think it speaks a lot to it. And the leadership has, definitely been credited on. I just think it's the perfect position for him. It's not too much. It's not making the OC, where I think it could get uncomfortable. But as the running backs coach, I think it's perfect. And the assistant head coach is perfect for him.
Yeah, and we replace a former player as a positional coach with a former player who did a pretty good job over there. I don't know if you ever heard of this Jonathan Taylor guy for Indianapolis, but I heard he's a pretty good running back, one of the best in the NFL, and obviously it's his raw talent, but you do get helped coaching for that. So it's awesome that we got another former player to this Avengers coaching staff. You're going to lose good coaches. This is part of the business when you're a good football team. And then you just got to continue to find good coaches to replace those good coaches. Just stay away from Pat Matricia. That guy is absolutely not a good coach, and he's a real D-bag. And Darius Slay's still upset about him as he talked about him again. In his last interview, Darius Slay hates that guy. He ain't giving it up upon Pat Matricia over there. Let's get into DJ Chark. Okay, because I want to know your thoughts on, should we re-sign DJ Chark? If you do, what are you wanting to get? Do you think we do? What is your thoughts on this? Is this a big conversation coming up as free agency is about to hit?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is something I was initially like super back and forth on, and then I jumped on Madden, and I was like, I'm playing online. I'm like, okay, we need this dude because it was so, like man, it was so frustrating last year trying to throw to Quintez Cephas. I like Cephas, but this dude was so darn slow, so he would never get open. It was like, look, someone's got it. Someone's got to be able to get open. So Chark was a lifesaver, and that's enough for me. But for seriously though, I think it's I can see both sides of it, but I really get the vibe that the Lions are going to find a way to bring him back. Whether that's, setting up the contract back a little bit. I think he's going to be back on this team. He gives me the vibe of like a dude you look at and say he's a legit number two. I could see the scenario where you don't. You rock with Josh. You could draft someone. J-Mo's kind of that dog now. I understand it, but I think the Lions will find a way to get DJ Chark back in here. I think Brad Holmes just saw the success that he had and how it worked. I think he's going to do everything he can to make sure that doesn't get torn apart. So I think we're going to get him back. We're actually going to have him
I
next
want
season.
him to come back. I don't know if we're going to be able to, but I want him to come back. Him and Jared Goff got a really good connection halfway through the season. They were just there, and the big plays were hitting. If you want this offense to continue to thrive, you got to have that deep threat. Then you have Jameson Williams, and there's plenty of players you can have. Amon-Ra, DJ Chark, Jameson Williams, that's a good 1-2-3. Then you throw in there Khalif Raymond and Josh Reynolds. So I think that they should attempt to. How much would you be willing to pay for him per year? Because that's another issue, right? It's not just about having the player here because we know he's talented, but it's also about finances and money. What would you will to pay? Last year is a $10 million for 1 year.
I know, and he was coming off 4 receptions, so it's like I know he's gonna have value. I guess to me, I would think that you give him a multi-year deal, and I would have to look to backload it. I think you just kind of have to, with the void years that also got thrown in there as well. I would be willing to backload a little bit and just on a average basis, 10 million again per year, like around that ballpark. I would not honestly have an issue with doing that. I think obviously the TJ Hockenson trade, kind of the 10 million right there, just basically is what you basically would have been paying Hockenson this next year. So that can kind of go to that direction. On top of that, to like what you just said, I thought DJ Chark just brought us something different last year. And I think you can find that, but at the same time, he just did bring something different, like the deep threat. He also had like a different route tree and different skill set than Josh Reynolds had. And I thought he was the perfect like personality fit for us. I really did. Didn't get any vibe that this wasn't going to work. He just fit in so well. So I would go right back to that same range, and I'd probably push some money back a little bit to future years if you can do that. And that's how I would go about it.
Yeah, I would. I'm thinking, we can't go no Kenny Galladay money there. Not going to give him that type of money.
No.
But man, could you do 9.5 a year? A little bit less? I think you could. I think you could do that. Yeah. And like you were saying, the Josh Reynolds and him are two different players. DJ Chark took the top off, and he was getting those big, deep passes, and it opens everything else up for Amon-Ra St. Brown and the tight ends, the 3 tight ends that we have for the Detroit Lions. So I hope they can get it. He wants to be here. He talked on the podcast with St. Brown. He likes the culture. He likes the family environment. Just got to make the deal work. So hopefully, we can figure something out. I don't want to overpay, but I do like what he's doing here. Say we don't get DJ Chark back, because if you look at the free agent pool, wide receivers are cheeks. They are. I mean, DJ Chark's probably the highest one on there right now. And so you got a team like the Chicago Bears, that they have $100 million of cap space, and they could overpay for a DJ Chark. What would the Lions do if we can't get Chark back? Bears or another team get him. Do we look for free agency? Do we look for the draft? Or just we stay pat and go with what we have?
Yeah, it's a good point. But, we saw teams like Jacksonville. They invested big time in a receiver, and I think it helped them a ton. But you're right. Like, there is an extent there where there's just an amount that just doesn't make sense. If I don't have DJ Chark back, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Josh Reynolds, of course, and he could be the number 2. Like, I know that can work. It obviously puts a lot, I think, on Jameson, because you're anticipating that Jameson is basically going to be what he thought he was going to be coming out next year, which makes sense based on the projection. but if he was healthy, like he's going to have to become that guy, which is fine. Like that's why I could see both sides of it, because you did draft him at the 12th pick and there was the injury on top of it. So when he's healthy, your anticipation should be he's going to be the one. Like he's going to be that guy. He gives me the Brandon Cooks of this offense kind of vibes. What I would do is I would roll with Josh and I would draft another receiver on top of that, probably somewhere in second, maybe the third round range, somewhere right in that middle of the pack, and try to get another outside receiver, because I don't think we really need to worry about the slots. But yes, it has the tools. It's going to be difficult to find a guy with those kind of tools without going super high. But I would come back and grab a mid-round pick and roll with Josh if he has to start. I can win with that.
Interesting that we talked about mid-round pick, right? You going wide receiver there. Let's go over through the draft picks and what you're looking at least for positional-wise. We'll go into the second round and third round. Pick 6. Okay. We're sitting there at pick 6. What do you think the Lions should do? You can get the best corner in the draft. You can get an edge rusher. You can get a tight end. I know you love tight ends at pick 6.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No.
What should the Lions do there?
Yeah, well, I would actually throw a curveball. I'd go kicker.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like either I'm drafting the kicker or I'm trading away that for a kicker.
Man, I'm trading up. I'm going to pick 1. Getting my kicker.
Hey, you're not risking nothing.
Hell yeah, man. I'm going all the way to pick 1. I'm going to give Chicago Bears my whole draft. They can just have every single draft pick, and I'm going to go ahead and get the kicker at pick 1.
How beautiful is that to give Chicago, like to trade up with Chicago? All the kickers they've had. Hey, look, we're moving up to get that kicker.
Seeing the highlights of the kicking of football.
Like, dang it. No, man. I think really with that 6th pick of the draft, man, there's only go with me. It's either defensive tackle. I think edge rusher is possible. I think it's possible that has to come with a Romeo Okwara cut. Even then, I don't see it happening. So I would go. I only got 2 options personally. I think it's defensive tackle or it's a cornerback at that spot, and I'm cool with either one. I'm not really sure I'm completely sold on the DT at that spot, but I do know for a guy that has size and the elite like athleticism, you're going to have to invest a lot at that position, especially if you're looking for like come in and play starter. Because, I like Bugs, I like having him back. But if you're looking for someone that's the next step up, you're going to have to invest a lot there. You know what I mean? So to me, I like cornerback personally, just from the players that I've seen at that spot right now. But either of those two, I'm going.
There's one defensive tackle, and I actually dropped a video on my personal channel about this, and it was the Athletics saying the Lions, they could see a situation where the Lions actually trade up, say, to pick 3 to draft a defensive tackle in Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter is an absolute game wrecker. Okay, this guy is my number 1 prospect in the draft. He's your Aaron Donald, your Ndamukong Suh, your enforcer. He's your anchor. I think he would elevate this defense. But to do this, you'd have to give up your first, second-round draft pick to the Arizona Cardinals, who Arizona doesn't have a whole lot of draft picks. Would you trade up to get a Jalen Carter? He is a game wrecker, but you're also giving up a player potentially who's a starter.
So you're saying so in this scenario, you're giving up one of your second-round picks, your first second-round pick.
Yep, your first second round. I think it's like 46.
I'd do that. I'd do it.
It's tempting.
If that's all it took, I'd do it. I wouldn't have an issue with it. Yeah, I wouldn't have an issue with it. Because, then you need cornerback to me, and I think there's enough depth right here where they could feel good with a guy at 18 at cornerback. But if you had a guy like that, there's no whole offensive line. There's really not many holes on the front 7, but to that, there's not a hole in the defensive line at that point. You might have the best defensive line in football, and it's extremely young, So you also have to take consideration the fact that I'm saving a pretty good amount of cap space where that can also help me through free agency, right? So, yeah, I would not have an issue to make that happen.
Bobo says no. I get it, man. I get the people that don't want to do it, and for me, for a second-round pick, it's tempting. That is extremely tempting because, let's be honest here, the second round has not done us well in the last 20 years. That's just kind of a part of it. But then you're just looking at what he could be. Legitimately, he could be the best defensive tackle in football in the next year or two. Like, that's his ceiling, and what he does on the interior of that defensive line is amazing. And we've seen what happens when you have a powerhouse player like that. That's just something. Then you got to see if the Bears trade out of pick 1 and they say they go to 4, It's like, ooh, you could actually kill two stones with one bird by not getting them to get to Jalen Carter. That's another thing. But
That would
if
be
you
tough.
don't want to do it, I totally get it. 100% understand. But Jalen Carter's gone. Would you go second DT, or would you wait a little bit? You know, there is a DT. Brian Brzee, he's starting to fall in mock drafts. Hell, like just I'd say a month and a half ago, he was up there as a top 10 pick. Now I'm seeing him fall out of damn first round. So I don't know if that's something they would go. Devin Witherspoon, corner, potentially could be an option. What about trading out of 6? Say 6 to 9 or 6
Yeah,
to 10.
I think that would be. You know what's funny, Mike? I always get this vibe. Does it feel like every year we're kind of talking about potentially trading back?
Yeah,
like I always
Brad
feel
Holmes
like
does it.
I know,
Trader.
but it's like every year it's like, okay, trading back would be a great idea here.
Yep.
And this is the one year where it kind of wasn't completely on the radar, and it feels like this will be the year that it happens. Where it's like this will be the year that they actually move back. To move back to kind of be a great spot for the Lions, because to your point, Carter's not there, and you want to go defensive tackle, but you feel like there's enough cornerback depth. It'd be amazing because you'd probably you could still land one of the top corners, top 2, something like that. Get more draft picks. I'd be on board with that as well. Absolutely on board with doing something like that.
Yeah, I just see like the talent level after Carter and Will Anderson falls off. Like I think they're the two blue chippers, and then you got quarterbacks. The line's not going to go quarterback. So it's like, okay, well, then if your talent falls off, how about you move back a little bit? But again, it takes 2 to tango. Not saying it's going to happen, but I'm sure Brad Holmes would be willing. We're sitting at pick 18 now. The Lions, okay, what do you do there? I've seen people say, I would love to go potentially get Bijan Robinson, best running back in the draft.
Oof.
I've seen offensive guard. Okay, Osiris Torrance is an absolute stud and a bona fide G. But then a lot of people, linebacker, cornerback, edge, what do you do here? For me, it's more BPA. I'm going to go this route. I trust what Brad Holmes does, so even if he goes running back or guard, I'm going to trust it because I feel like it's an absolute, you got to go BPA. But I'm on board with the defense, right? I'd love to get Trent Simpson, linebacker. I'd love to get a cornerback if they did not go corner at 6. What would you think, personally? What would you do if Dose of Dion is Brad Holmes? And we're going Brad Holmes 2.0.
I love it. No, I love it. Okay, so then at 18, I think running back is possible because story makes sense for Brad Holmes to take a running back. We've seen him do it. So that I don't think that's out of the question. To me, though, I think if I just stood pat and I was trying to do this thing right positionally, I feel like it would be insane for me to draft a running back at that spot, especially if Jamaal Williams comes back. If I re-sign Jamaal Williams, I don't think I can draft a running back there unless I move Swift. I mean, I'm cool with rolling back with Swift, bringing back Craig, re-signing Jamaal, and rolling with those 3, and then we can get someone late again if we want to. So to that, I'd be at a position where if we hadn't hit the cornerback, that becomes like top of my list. But I think there's also the flip scenario to me, and I was kind of rolling through this last night, where if at 6 I take a cornerback without trade, then at 18 I think edge is also a possibility. Yeah. I mean, I know I naturally kind of think DT there, but if let's say I cut Romeo at 6, I hit cornerback, come back at 18, I like something like the Will McDonald's, like someone that has enough athleticism where I feel like he's comfortable to drop, and then he can kind of fit in immediately that rotation of the Hutch, the James Houston's, that edge now. And if I go that position instead of trying to reach on a DT, if I don't feel like that's there, then I can come back and hit it. And also guard. I'm not sure if guard, like tough, man, because I don't know if it's going to take that high of a pick, but I think it's also a very possibility that we cut Big V. So
it is possible.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have a guard, like it's hard to not put that super high on priority. Because you can win with bugs, you just get less production. But if you don't have a guard, offense is going to take a complete dive. So you need to fix that.
It takes a big hit. And again, you were talking about protecting Jared Goff, and you're protecting your run game. I mean, those are the reason this offense was so successful is the offensive line. That's where it started at. You have a great offensive line. Jared Goff can just sit there and just read the defense and do his progressions, picking them apart. I mean, that's I'm gaining on the idea if Osiris Torrance is there, them to do that. I wouldn't be mad if they went that route because you're talking about 4 first-round picks in the offensive line out of 5.
Dude.
And the one guy, Jonah Jackson, is a former Pro Bowler. So you're looking at a Pro Bowl offensive line here. You got Taylor Decker. You would have Jonah Jackson, Frank Ragnow, Osiris Torrance, and then Penei Sewell. That would be the most ridiculous offensive line of football. And Jared Goff literally could just stand there. I got to take a leak really quick while the play's going on, turn around. I don't have to do my flip-a-rooney, my spin-a-rooney that he does. He sits there, 5 minutes going. Like, it would be ridiculous.
No, and it's like, I think you probably feel the same way. Like, if I'm looking at how do I make Goff successful, number one is O-line. Having Charks like that are great, but if I don't have the O-line, nothing else is going to matter with this guy. Because look at his best games of the year. Watch Jacksonville. He lit him up, but they didn't get to him at all. And it's just like, that's what it can be. So, man, and on top of that, Jonah Jackson is the only guy, right, of those that are going to be a free agent next season. So at least then you at least have a guard under contract because you still have your center and tackles through 2024. So it's like, at least then we still have another guard under contract, and we have some flexibility there going into next year. We're not trying to fill both those positions with big dollars this next offseason.
Yeah, I'd be pretty flexible at pick 18. Again, I probably prefer a little more defense there. That's the way I'm going to go. Again, corner if they didn't take one for sure. Linebacker, I really want a linebacker. Second round, though, I think, again, we're going BPA. I'm not going to go for a positional, like you have to get this position. I think you should go BPA. Players are going to fall out of the first round that are talented, and you want to acquire those talent. But definitely, if they didn't go guard, I think second round's a possibility, or running back. But you said wide receiver. So, again, Chark's not there. You want to get a guy who can play on the outside. We'd have a very young wide receiver core at that point. Amon-Ra, year 3. Jamo, year 2, and then your rookie, then Khalif Raymond. So what are you looking for, like size? You looking for someone that could be like maybe 6'2", 6'3", or speed, or physical stature at wide receiver?
Right. Yeah. No, it's tough because it's like I'm asking for the perfect player here, but I definitely I feel like I really want some size because I think what I'm looking for, if I'm going to that spot, I'm not necessarily. Yeah, because I got Jameson. I anticipate that he's going to be the guy that threatens defense over the top. So I don't, he's going to threaten defense no matter what just because of his speed. But I need a guy that I feel like can match up with your number 2 cornerback and beat him in much every single way on the outside. And I feel like that's what DJ was pretty close to bringing. It was basically brought us last season when he was healthy. So if I'm trying to replace that, that's what I need to find. Someone with those kind of tools, like 6'2 plus. He's got good enough speed where he can at least separate in man coverage. And I need a guy that consistently can beat your number 2. That's just simple as that. If I have that, I feel like I can go anywhere with the football on the field. Because for this whole draft thing, this is the way I would look at it. Like, okay, where do I need starters? I need starters at corner. I need a starter at defensive tackle. And then it just comes down to, what do I do? Do I cut Big V? If I cut Big V, I need a starter at guard, right? If I cut Romeo, I don't necessarily need a starter at edge, but we know the value of that position. And I think there's also some limitations still with what we have there. So that's a possibility. So that's how I would go with it. And then obviously if I cut Chark, I don't need a starter there because I know Josh can handle that. So, man, it's tough, but that's what I would need. I would need a guy that I feel like can beat your number 2.
Yeah, I seen that 9 Drinks that CBS had the Lions getting Carter at pick 6. If that occurred, that would be I think that would be one of the best situations that I've seen the last 10 years. Like in a draft. That would remind me of Ndamukong Suh falling to pick 2, or a value like
Honestly,
that where I
years.
wouldn't expect it, and you have to run up there with the pick. That's better than, I think, Aiden Hutchinson falling to. I think that's even better than Penei Sewell falling to the Lions. Like, Jalen Carter is to me my number 1 ranked player. Like, he's my number 1 ranked player out of all. So what's up, Tim? If that occurred, it would be amazing. It would be absolutely amazing. It's hard to believe, but like you said, CBS even put a mock draft out there for that. Free agency is coming up. Multiple strategies, ways to go for Brad Holmes. Re-sign some current players. First, we'll talk about other players from other teams, but we got Alex Anzalone's a free agent. Obviously, DJ Chark, we talked about. Isaiah Buggs, John Kaminsky, Evan Brown, free agent. What are some of the players you want the Detroit Lions to bring back that was on the team last year that want to come back?
Yeah, I think the first one, I think it has to be Jamaal. I just can't see a scenario in which Jamal's not brought back. So I think Jamal's
Agree.
got
I
to
think
be up
it's
there for
given.
me. Absolutely. Yeah. So like, and then there's a guy like Evan Browns and stuff. I could see a scenario where they're not. I could see him getting paid too much now that he started. And the Deshaun Elliott's like, I feel like if he's kind of going to take over that role. So I could see them not doing it. And DJ Chark, we just talked about that one. But I think some of the clear ones are the John Kaminsky's. I feel like they're going to have to find a way to get him back just because of how they're playing defensively. I think it makes sense. I had the list and I lost it. Will Harris would also be someone that's real is up there for me as well, just because number one, price, and number two, with what we have at cornerback, if he came in as my last cornerback on my depth chart, I know his flexibility, and I know that he can, and I know his flexibility. I know the Lions trust him with that flexibility. Like they came in last year clearly with the vision Mike's going to start at slot, and then they kicked him to the outside and it worked. But I almost kind of struggle to believe that they're going to bring that back. That could be another draft pick to replace it. But I think Will Harris has got to be up there for someone I'm bringing back as well. I'm missing some obvious ones. I know it. You got to help me out, man, because I don't have the list.
I think Kamish needs to come back. I like Kaminsky for sure.
Absolutely.
I think I'd love to bring him back. Jamal Williams is pretty much a given, in all honesty. I feel like he's got to be back here.
Has to be.
Steve Wilkes is now the 49ers defensive coordinator. Well, that was a good hire for them. Will Harris. I'm a little different on you, man. I'm tired of Will Harris.
I know.
I'm gonna lie.
I know you are. That's why I brought it up, man. I know you're different on this one. I saw your face. You didn't think I saw your face?
They thought they were.
There's two players that I have seen on this team for a couple years, and I'm ready to kind of go in a different direction. He's one of those players. Tim Boyle was the previous one he started, or before he got cut. I wanted him to go for sure.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, man. That's it. What about Alex Anzalone? He's controversial. Some say yes, some say no.
He's back.
He's
back. I can start Alex.
Okay.
I can start him. Dude, I feel like Alex is kind of underrated. Okay, hang with me here, Mike.
He played much better in the second half. He did. I think he did. I think he's got to get credit. I wouldn't mind bringing him back on a one-year deal and then drafting a linebacker early in the draft to be the eventual replacement. Then you'd have a Derek, going forward, Derek Barnes, Malcolm Rodriguez, and say if you got a Jack Campbell or somebody in the draft to really man that middle of the field. But I don't mind bringing him back, in all honesty, on a one-year deal because he did play much better in the second half, and he does look like Thor. So when you have somebody that
he does. No, you're right. Expand on that.
That's not a reason why. Because he looks like somebody. That means it's good. But I wouldn't mind that for sure. Or if there's other like T.J. Edwards, their linebacker from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think he's a little bit too old for what this regime wants, even though I absolutely love him. Now let's talk about players to bring in outside the organization. What do you think of Da'Ron Payne? I love Da'Ron Payne. It's going to cost a big penny to get him.
Yeah,
11.5 sacks. Yep. He's got big sacks. What do you think about him and other players? Would you bring him in? Because it's going to cost a ton, and other players.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing I got with Payne. First off, he's crazy productive. And I know he's going to fit. And then the other thing on top of that is, too, if there's a position I feel like Brad's going to be willing to throw out money, it would be at that position. I feel like for the most part, I don't think we're going to see a lot of those types of deals. And we may not see those types of deals, right, to the guy that hits free agency. Because usually you feel like free agency, it's either, number one, they're too old, two, they're injured all the time, or three, they just cost way too much for, what they actually should be getting. But Payne fits the position that I could see him actually shelling out that kind of money to make it happen. I don't love paying that much money to that positional group because I think we can handle it with bugs. But at the same time, what you get there, man, is you're getting an all-down players. You're getting a complete game changer, just like you'd be getting with Jalen Carter. So if there's a positional group that I'm willing to go to a young guy and say, here's 3 years, I don't know, $60 million, just throwing it out there, that would probably be the position that you're willing to do that. Maybe cornerback as well, just because of the premium value within the NFL. But
I think that's
one. The only thing with Payne, though, is that he gets after the quarterback. So it's like, I get he's the D, but he gets after the quarterback. Anybody that gets after the quarterback is worth a lot of money, and the Lions will pay those guys. So I'm not opposed to it. I'm not opposed to it. I don't think it'll happen, but I'm not against it.
I'm with you. I think they got a good corner for sure. I mean, there's a lot of good corners in free agency as well as the draft. It's perfect time to need corners for the Detroit Lions because there's a plethora of them right now. You got Bradbury, Dean, seen it in the comment section, as well as Byron Murphy. I think there's some, and then it's not going to cost that much, in all honesty, to get it here. I think the Lions need to get a veteran corner as well as draft one high in the draft. I think that's because you're going to have, I don't think Amani's coming back. Amani Awarie. Mr. Flag himself. I think he had a really bad season. Yeah. You can look at, is Mike Hughes probably coming back? Probably not. And then it was already a weak position. It was a real weak position. So what do you think about some of these corners?
Will Harris is coming back. Yeah, Will Harris is coming back. I noticed you didn't bring that one up. I think you were just trying to avoid that one.
Definitely. I'm not gonna.
Okay. No. So I think it's different because I feel like these last couple of years we've given opportunities to the Mike Hughes. We tried to give the opportunity to the Quentin Dunbars, even though that one was definitely a tougher one because that was off the field. It just never happened. But I think what you need at cornerback is you have to come in and say this guy can start on the outside. And now here's the thing to that though. Because you have Jerry Jacobs, I think you have more flexibility than you usually would in that situation. I feel like usually if you're in a situation where you feel like you have to find a starting outside corner, you either have to go your route or say, I got to get a vet. I'm going to have to spend a lot of money in free agency, or I'm going to have to draft someone like with my top pick because even then we don't know what's going to happen. But I think Jerry gives you enough flexibility where you can lean on that high pick to be that. And if it doesn't, you can win with Jerry's here too. Now you're also asking for, Jeff Okudah to improve, but he's in a situation where this is the year, right? Because he's probably not going to get his fifth year picked up. So it's like, this is it. This is the year you got to show us. So Jerry, I think, gives you flexibility there as well as Will Harris. So to me, I think there's different ways you can go about it. I would like to draft someone. I really would. I would like him back pretty high. I would like to draft a corner. I would like to see what that looks like, and I think there's some dogs in this draft class coming out. I know you've seen them. There are some animals at corner coming out. So I would love to do that.
It is a deep corner class. It's the deepest that I've seen. It's the deepest position in this year's draft. But you want to know what's also deep is the mailbag segments. If you got questions, let us know in the comments below. You can ask Dosa Dion himself. You can ask me. It's your time to shine, but you got to do a hashtag Lions, hashtag smash the hole, hashtag something. All right, I put in a little fun for you. Hashtag smash the like button. Absolutely. If you've not smashed that like button right now, we got 92 in the building. Smash that like button. Let's get to 50 likes. We're at 28. I think we can get to 5/0. Raw Podcast says, so you guys are basically saying bring back the 32nd ranked defense. I would use him as a rotational guy, Alex Anzalone. I'm not wanting to bring back the whole defense. Alex Anzalone, to me, would be a rotational guy as you're drafting a linebacker in the first – one of the linebacker in the first 2 rounds. That's where I want. I want to get a stud like at LB, but I'm definitely not wanting to bring back this everybody. Every single person.
Yeah, you do.
You did answer on giving up picks to get Witherspoon. I don't think you would have to give up picks to get Witherspoon. If you're sitting at, he's not going to go before pick 6. There's no way. I don't see that. And if that happens, if he was to go before pick 6, then one of these studs is going to fall to you in Will Anderson or Jalen Carter, because I feel like there's probably going to be 3 quarterbacks taken within the first 5 picks. Let's be honest here. You got Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, and you got Will Levis, who some teams are infatuated with. So if there is somehow Witherspoon was getting mixed there, then one of those 2 studs is going to fall. That's the way I would see it. So I don't think you would have to trade up. Unless you're talking about pick 18. Then maybe. I don't think you would have to. Like, there's so many good corners. I'm not going to trade up for one. One's going to be there.
No.
There's a ton of them. The amount of corners in this draft is ridiculous. You get a starter in the 2nd round. Emmanuel Forbes is a 2nd-round prospect. He's the best nickel corner in the draft. The reason he's 2nd round, he's a nickel corner. I mean, you can still get good players. Which
Right.
cornerback would you want in free agency and in the draft? Well, Mark, I've said mine. Mine would be Byron Murphy and probably Devin Witherspoon. And if you decide to go and wait for pick 18 and Witherspoon's not there, Gonzalez would be my number 2 cornerback. What about you, Dosa Dion?
I have a quick question. Who is your number 1 corner right now? Do you have your number? Is Witherspoon your number 1?
I like Witherspoon right now. I was looking at his tape last week, and I think he fits the mold of Dan Campbell the best because he's physical. He likes to tackle. He likes to hit.
Physical.
I like players that like to hit. It reminds me of Quandre Diggs when he was here, how physical he was when he was hitting the receivers and any player that got in his way. And that's something that it's hard to find, and that's exactly what Dan Campbell likes. But I also like Gonzalez because he's 6'2", can play outside. I love size. I like his size over Witherspoon. I do like a good size, but I think they're all pretty good. In all honesty, if even Joey Porter Jr., I love Joey Porter Jr. It just shows you how good it is. You get either one of those 3, I'm fine. Cam Smith, I don't know if it's really a scheme fit. He's pretty good. Keely Ringo, to me, is a second-rounder. That's what I got. So if you're not going to go corner in the first round, you get him in the second round.
Gotcha. Okay.
So who do you want in free agency or the draft?
What was it? Was it cornerback?
Yeah, corners.
It was corner, right? Okay. Okay. I'm gonna give you an off the wall name because I've thought about this, and I know he's not technically a free agent, but I don't think I've seen it in the news with him. I'm still like kind of on the idea of reaching out to Gilmore.
Okay.
Understanding where his cap situation is if he gets cut this year. I wouldn't have an issue there. Maybe you throw him a late round pick or something to pick him up, but probably more so if he gets cut, because I could see that definitely happening based on how his financials are set up. I wouldn't have an issue reaching out there. I think it makes tons of sense. I think he's done well against our divisional receivers that we face, and I know what I'm going to get. And if you're talking about bringing in another young guy, this is such a young cornerback room that really hasn't had that vet that's like not just a vet, but he's a dog vet, where it's like everybody kind of can just learn and take from him, and he fits because he's man heavy, press heavy. That would be someone that I would look for. And then in the draft, I'm kind of with you. Like, I'm kind of all over the place right now. Witherspoon, to me, the size, yes. I think he's a little bit more sporadic in coverage. Like, I like Gonzalez. But to your point, I don't think he's the physicality. He doesn't bring the physicality to the game that Joey Porter Jr. necessarily brings. But at the same time, I think Gonzalez has some of the – he moves with such ease.
Yeah.
It separates himself from those guys. It's like, this dude, you know what I'm saying? Like, I could put him in any
100%.
situation, and he moves like an elite corner day one. So I think I'm starting to lean that way, but I'm still working through it.
See, it's going to continue to work through it because you're going to consistently look at it, the tapes of each players, and you got to look at the good and the bad, and then you got obviously the NFL Combine coming up, and that's going to change some minds as well, how they do. You got your hand raised? This is school. Go ahead.
Hey, can I go to the bathroom? No, I got a quick name. I got to.
Yes, you can while you're talking to me.
All right.
I appreciate
just
whip
it.
it out and just do what you got to do, man.
I got a quick name, man. I got to throw him out there because this is one of the first guys I had to take a look at. And I haven't brought his name up, but I do like him a lot. Hey, Jordan Perryman, man. I mean, he's size. Washington last year. You know what? Hey, your boy Myron Murphy. They put out some dogs at corner now. And he took such a leap last season. So he's a guy, man. I'm just keeping my eye on that dude. So just to throw that out there. But anyway, my bad. I'll use the rest of them later.
Do we
The other
draft?
guys got the hall pass. So
Hall pass. Do we draft or free agent at offensive guard? I think it'd probably be NFL draft. If they do guard in free agency, it'd be a backup role. In all honesty, like an Evan Brown type of player, I don't think they'd be looking for a starter there because then why you just keep Big V? In all honesty, if you're gonna do that, you just keep Big V. That's that would be my thought process there. And there's good guards in the second and in the third round. I think you can get some good guards. What are your top 5 You could go to the bathroom if you got to go, bro. I was just playing.
No, I don't.
By the way, I'm like, oh, like I know what that's like, man, when you're streaming, and it's just like, I can't wait for halftime because I got to go, man. But I just feel like if you got to go, you got to go. Super Troopers, that scene where the captain, he goes in front of the mailbacks. You gotta go. You gotta go. That was a great scene, by the way. That's so hilarious.
I'm good, dog, man.
Raw Podcast, what are your 5 favorite linebackers? Well, I like Trenton Simpson the most, as you know. I think he's a very good linebacker. I like Jack Campbell there as well. I think Drew Sanders is in the mix. Noah Sewell and Henry Tuo'o. I'm sure I destroyed that name, but when your name is Tuo'o,
yeah.
dude,
Yeah.
what the hell do you expect from me?
Look,
But
we've had some
I
rough
say
names
Noah
over the
Sewell,
years,
honestly,
man.
is probably my LB5 because he didn't produce as what I'd like him to produce this year. And what I saw from Jack Campbell is much better. Drew Sanders is better. Trenton Simpson really good. 2-0 is good as well. But that's what I got there. That's what I got there. And if you want to do like a late 1, 3rd, 4th, we know we don't got a 4th-round pick. Overshown, I think he's another one that you can get a little bit of universal player. Let's see. Mike, have you looked at Ivan Pace for linebacker yet? He may fit into the backfield at times also. Have not looked at him, in all honesty. I have not. Have you? Because now I feel like stupid.
Hey, no, I have not. First time I heard of him was yesterday, so no.
Do you think Lions fell in love with anybody at the Senior Bowl? A lot of how rises the Senior Bowl, for sure. I think if you're doing a backup quarterback, Jake Hayner, really good at the Senior Bowl. I had him initially as a 6th-round prospect. I think he moves up to the 5th round, potentially 4th round. With the work that he did there, he was accurate, stand in the pocket, looked comfortable, and he learned their quote-unquote offensive playbook in a week. I thought he had a very good one. Very good one. It depends where, I don't think they would overdraft a quarterback. I think if you're going to go quarterback, it's going to be 5th or 6th round. What do you think about quarterback, backup quarterback, or will you draft one early? I know you like JG, but
Yep.
I want to hear your thoughts on the quarterback position.
Yeah, I'm kind of weird on this one because I'm not really sure. Like, I feel like to your point, let's say I take one round 6 and I'm like, he's my backup. But what am I really getting there at round 6? Like, we're not putting a prospect name to it, but I think in most scenarios, you draft a quarterback round 6, he's usually the full-on development quarterback 3, and a lot of times it just does not work out because we did that. We would draft late guys, Rudock, Kyle. We did that, and it's just like that. Did you feel good about that guy being your number 2? No, but we don't have a number 2. So then either you have to hit free agency, or I think you have to get up a little bit higher in the draft without, we don't have a round 4 pick. And then you're trying to see, like, how high can we go to get a guy that we feel like as a rookie can be a number 2. That's where I'm kind of weird with it. But I'm not taking one high. No, I'm not taking one high.
I'm not dodging your question. There is 116 in the building. And, yes, I would take Witherspoon. I had him in my mock draft yesterday. That was a good indication that I would take Witherspoon. I was taking him at pick 6, man. So, yeah, I'd take him. I have no problem taking him. I did not get to see the live stream because I was actually at rehab. So, that's where I was at. So, I didn't get to see it. Lions want me to send you a urinal from the hospital. Thank you. We appreciate it, Philip C. Go ahead and send it to Dosa Dion.
Appreciate that.
And I'll need one, too, for when I do streams. I can actually put it underneath my computer desk and just go while I'm streaming. I think that's the best way to go. Stream while you're streaming, for sure. That's called being efficient right there. Would you guys move back to 17 with Las Vegas Raiders for another first next year? Ooh, good question here. Damn, that's a hard one because that's a big drop. 6 to 17, but you pick up next year's first-round pick. I'm going to want a little bit more. I want a first-round pick next year. I want a second-round pick this year. I want that pick 7. Like, that's a big drop. If I'm going to – that's a huge drop. I want a freaking haul for something like that. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, to your point, if we get a little bit more, I wouldn't have a problem with it, just thinking based on what I think we need, because then I could grab that guard, corner, boom, boom, got a first round next year. I can always have flexibility. But, like, from their perspective, they could be looking at it saying, hey, 17, we may not have 17 first-round players. So you're dropping out of the first-round players that we have. You need to give us a lot. That's basically what you tell the Raiders. It needs to be more than that because we're losing a first-round pick, base player basically here.
Yeah, you better ship me Devonta Adams or something. I'm going to need
That's
something over
right.
here, and you got to take his pay over or something for me to drop that pick. Which linebackers do we keep or do we shift? Well, we only got 2 on the roster right now, Rodriguez and Derek Barnes. That's all we got. Everyone else is a free agent, so we're not shipping those guys out. So I don't know who's going to be here at LB. I think Alex Anzalone comes back. I think they draft a guy. Maybe they pick up another one like a Leighton Vander Esch in free agency, who I identified could be a cheap guy, a one-year deal, who, he is an injury-prone guy, but he's also very talented. Something that they've done with DJ Chark and other players with like a Deshaun Elliott who had an injury history. But I don't know. Because we only got 2 under contract. So
what about Chris Board now? Just what are your thoughts there? Because if we don't bring back Chris Board, to me, I think we're gonna have to search for a guy maybe like that has that ability. Maybe it's just a specialty. You feel good with him in coverage in most parts. Just like a specialty third down, he can man up.
He's a depth guy. Like
I don't think we have that.
I look him like an Isaiah Buggs. Like I have no problem bringing a depth guy back. I have no problem pretty much any depth players, but to make him like a starter or something, I'm not.
No.
He's good on special teams as well, so that's another part of his game. And our special teams unit's always good, and it would cost absolutely butt cheeks to get him here. So I'm fine with that. It's not going to cost an arm and a leg. What is surprise position the Lions might take in the draft? I keep seeing this. I don't think it's true, but I will lose my S if a tight end goes. Really, I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't. But that would be a surprise for me, a surprise anger. I would erupt in anger if I see Lions select Michael Mayer, tight end, pick 18. I'd just do this.
Yeah, I thought you said anywhere. Yo, not round 1. Whoa, yeah. No, I'm on board with that.
I lose it, man. Even round 2. We go round 2.
Oh my goodness. Oh no. Yeah. I'm with you. I'm leaving. If I'm there with you, I'm leaving.
Come on, man. Like, stop with the tight end stuff. It's driving me ape. We don't need a tight end. My God, man. I think I'd lose it, man. He takes Bama running back. I don't mind. Yeah, I took the running back from Alabama in my latest mock draft. I think they do. I think they may get a running back early, and you just seen that report out of The Athletic that don't be surprised if they take a running back early. It would not shock me because DeAndre Swift this will be his last year, right? This next 2023 season. I'm not sure if they're really sold on him. Jamaal Williams is a free agent right now. I do think they bring him back, but for how long? And then the other guys, it's, we're talking about Justin Jackson or Craig Reynolds and Jamar Jefferson. It would not shock me if they went that route. It would not shock me if you look at it. So, like I said, you got to look at. I personally like Zach Charbonnet the most. Besides, I do obviously like Bijan Robinson, but for a player spot and round, a second-round pick, the guy's 6'2". He's a big back, and he does remind me of Arian Foster from the Houston Texans. I think he'd be a really good running back to get for the Detroit Lions. I think it'd be a value spot. You're not wasting a first-round pick on a running back, and he could be an every-down back for you. That would be my ideal fit, personally. But, yeah, man, it would not shock me. Moody. People said take Moody. You want to get Jake Moody?
I'm down, man. Let's get a kicker. Let's do it.
What round? I've seen someone say we should get him in the second round.
Round 1.
Yeah, we got him with first pick, man. Like we got.
We already talked about this. What are we doing?
What we doing, man? We got trade up. Get him. I don't mind getting a running back or a kicker, because I'm not. It's like
no.
6th round, if you think this is a guy that's going to be there forever, yeah, go ahead and do it. I mean, Jack Fox, the GOAT, is a punter. But, Money Badgley, sorry, he is our kicker now. I think he did all right. I wasn't, overly joyed, but I wasn't hating him. So I think I'd be okay with it.
Hey, he's just a little limited.
Yeah, he's limited.
The Money Badger. Money Badger. I never heard that. I like that. That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah, man. I forgot that YouTuber always calls him the Money Badgerly. Just call him the Money Badger.
Money
So
Badger.
Matt Derry, check him out on the Lions YouTube channel. He calls him the Money Badgerly. Hashtag Go Lions. What do you think about Brian Flores going to the Vikings? What should we do to prepare for him in the Vikings defense? What we need to do? Well, our offense, I think, will still do good against their defense and any defense, but I think it's a massive upgrade for the Vikings. I think it is because their defense was cheeks, absolute cheeks there. I think that elevates it quite a bit, and that sucks for the Lions. But I think our offense still could compete with pretty much anybody in the league. In all honesty, I think our offense is that damn good. What do you think about Flores being the DC for Minnesota?
Happy for him. Good for them, man. They needed it, like you said. But it ain't no concern. Like, come on, but let's be real. I think we fill out guard. There's no concern there. You know what I mean? It's just when we have a number 2, and if we're just even if we just had a right guard, Evan Brown out there, to your point, we can score on anybody. We can literally score on anybody in a lot of points. So we got one of the best offensive minds in football. So you're just getting one of the best defensive minds. That just makes it a fun battle, but no concern.
We talked about this, Travis C., earlier, but we both want him to come back, but on the right deal. We're not wanting to overpay, but we do like DJ Chark to come back to our beloved Detroit Lions because he did good the second half of the season. He seems to be a good culture fit. Dude's funny as hell, and he can catch a football. Him and Jared Goff has been on the same page. And the offense was doing good when they were connecting. It was after that Buffalo game they really started to heat up. That Buffalo game wasn't too good, but after that they started to heat up. Someone says I don't like Badgley because of the Buffalo game because he missed a field goal. A couple field goals he missed this year. I don't think everybody will respect him. Are you talking about Witherspoon? I don't care if other people don't respect a certain player. If whoever Brad Holmes get, I'm supporting. Like, even if it's a player I don't like, even if I'm going to still support it because I want them to be successful. I do trust Brad Holmes, though. Absolutely trust Brad Holmes. I think he's a phenomenal GM. So.
Outstanding. Yeah, he's been outstanding.
Yeah, there's going to be players that Akuda's still hated by people. I want him to play well. I don't hate him. The Ebron pick was butt cheeks pick. Right there, he was hated right off rip because he was tight end. So, yeah, there's always going to be players like that. I remember Frank Ragnow. A lot of people didn't like his pick. I pretty much love him now. So whoever they pick, they just got to earn the respect, right? I don't think anybody expected.
But wouldn't that be
you're talking about Flores. I respect Flores. I just respect their offense better. Our offense. Yeah. I think it's going to make their defense much better and their team much better. But I feel like our offense can compete with any team in the NFL. Any team. That's how good our offense is. So I respect Flores, what he can do for sure. I think it's going to make the Vikings better. You know, and that sucks. We don't want that to be better. But I feel like Ben Johnson and the weapons that we have can outduel anybody. We need Bugs and Kaminsky back. Do you want the Kamish backs, the club arm?
Yes, both need to come back. Yes.
Hashtag to the best of your knowledge. Thank you so much, Bobo. Is AG staying or going? I think he's staying. I didn't think he was going to get that Cardinals job. I thought, I'm going to be honest with you, I thought it was a Rooney Rule thing, and he didn't get it as I kind of expected, and I don't think Indianapolis is going to hire him. They've had like 17 interviews. They're taking forever. So I think, yes, he's back. What do you think? Do you think he's back?
Yeah, I think it feels a year too early. It just does. It feels a year too early. I wouldn't be shocked if he's going next year, but it feels a year too early. But rooting for him.
Frank Ragnow was probably the only good thing, Quinn. Taylor Decker, he drafted Taylor Decker, right?
Yeah. Quinn made some moves now. Quinn had some things.
Yeah, he got Taylor Decker. That was a good move. His greatest move, though, was getting in Matt Patricia to
okay.
Oh, you're talking about You want suicide? Sorry,
I think you're cutting
that's
out, man.
Suicide pick right there.
It's-
That'll make Lions fans
hello?
want to cut your head off. And Matt Patricia, absolute butt cheeks.
Are you still
Getting
there?
rid of Darius Slayton and Quandre Diggs and every damn good player that we had, and Matt Stafford, like, I can come back here. And I just want to rip my heart out, and then those Dion get angry. That's not a good thing. It's not a good thing.
Actually, I think I've got my Patricia picture down here somewhere. Maybe I can put it up.
You got a what?
Just for a little, a little scenery. Set the mood
What is
a
this
little
shirt
bit.
that you have, you say?
Not a shirt. I have that Patricia picture, the one with him throwing the challenge flag. Did you see the emphasis?
Oh, man.
Man, look, man, we root for him. Hey, man, do your
God,
thing.
I
You know what I'm
hated
saying?
that guy from day one, man.
It did
I
not work.
rooted for him because I wanted my team to win, but ever since he put that freaking shirt on with Roger Goodell as a clown, I was like, this is not head coaching
You hated
material.
That got you right there. That got
was
you right
it,
there. You
man.
come on that airplane. Hey, that was his style. That was supposed to be style, man. I think maybe you just didn't understand the style, Mike. You may have just been out of the loop. That may have been
Man,
the issue.
the style of a hobo.
You,
Go ahead and
you're just
eat 25 pizzas and never shave my face and tell people to sit upright. Ship out all the players and say, Darius, you must be not like women because you like other corners in the draft. Like, this dude was a garbage human being, man. Oh my God.
Oh, man.
Who is a late round quarterback? Jake Haener is one I was talking about. I think he's a late round prospect the Lions could look at. Dorian Robinson, UCLA, is a quarterback they can look at. Clayton Tune is a late round quarterback you can look at. There are some players out there for sure for a backup role. That's what I'm looking at in a developmental player for the Detroit Lions. What do you think of like getting the developmental quarterback? I'm all for it, man. A guy that could be the backup. If Jared Goff gets nicked up during the season for a game, I don't trust. Like, I don't want Tim Boyles or David Blouse or Sudfelds. I'd like to get a young guy in there. What do you think about that? Like a 6th round, 5th round?
Here's my thing. If we go that late, I would bring back Nate Sudfeld or a guy like that. If we go that late. Now, if we go, round 5 or earlier, then I'm cool with rocking them as my 2. But I would just bring him back because I know that he can step in a game. And I do think he's an improvement from Boyle and Blau. Like, I thought he was pretty solid in the Niners preseason. You know what I mean? Yeah, and we almost won games with those guys. So it's like, that'd be my only thing. Because you literally could be taking back, putting in a 7th or 6th round pick from a Tim Boyle and a David Blau. You legitimately could be. If you had to throw them out there, it could look even worse. Man, you could have a lot of just dysfunction.
Tim Boyle's
because they haven't
throwing us
played.
passes when we're in training camp, man.
Look, man, Tim Boyle's a dog. Tim Boyle's a dog, man. Bring him back. Chat, hashtag bring Boyle back. Look at that. That's 3 Bs. Big baller brand.
Don't you
Sorry.
ever.
This isn't.
Oh, I love this. Mike and Mark Orem thought I was crazy when I said I was bugged out. I love this beast. Man. Yeah, man. Definitely got to do your thing, bro. Hooker in the 3rd round. Yeah, I think that's where he's going to go. What do you think about Malik? Not Malik Hooker. Why do I always do that? What do you think about Hooker, right? He injures himself before injury. He's 2nd round, maybe late 1st round prospect. Now, probably falling 3rd round. He's 25 years old. He had a hell of a college career, but he's a little bit older and dinged up.
Yeah, it's so weird now in the NFL, man, because I feel like I would feel like he would fall to day 3. He feels like a day 3 player, but at the same time, it's like now in today's NFL, you're getting a lot of team guys that are just drafting tools. With him, though, he doesn't bring that like great running ability that I think that I think some of these other high picks, but he brings the stature and a solid arm. Stature, solid arm, very, basic offense that I saw them run. But at the same time, for us, if we had the opportunity to get a guy like Hooker in a day 3, I'd be on board with that for sure. Because I think that's one of the guys that actually fits into the category of actually weirdly working out for us as a backup as a rookie because of his experience.
He fell to day 3. Yeah, that's the value.
Oh, I'd be
Man.
all over that. I
That'd
wouldn't have
be
an issue with that.
absolute value.
Yeah.
It's just called a value pick, right? That's what it is.
VP,
There's
vice
some
president.
players like even if you're like no way, but you starting to fall that late. It's like, you know what? It's called a value pick. You know, just one of those things. Bobo says FU's. Not a big fan of that one. Oh, that's good. Same thing year after year. Yep, and we can't get good without Stafford. We definitely could not get good without Matthew Stafford at all. But we just won 9 games. Yeah, look, man.
Wait, what?
I was ready to move on from Stafford, and when we traded Stafford and we got Jared Goff in those first-round picks, I was happy. I thought it was a good trade. If Jared Goff worked out, great. If he doesn't work out, great. You got draft picks to get a quarterback. But Jared Goff worked out, man, and so I'm fine with having JG. One thing I like about JG over Stafford, and I'd say this every single time, is he don't throw as much interceptions at pick six as Matthew Stafford does. He takes a little bit of less risk, but dang it, pick sixes and interceptions make me so mad I lose it. And you don't get that with Jared Goff as much. That makes me happy. Another thing I feel like he does play action much better than Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford, it's like his play action looks like it's not even trying. He just turns around, like not even put the football near the running back's gut at all. But one thing I don't like about JG is a spin move. You never want to see him do a spin move.
Oh, he is elite athleticism. Elite.
He did a spin move in the flag football, man.
Oh no, that was they have to do it like that, man. I was like, y'all gotta stop blitzing this dude, man.
He knows it's bad, dude. He talked about that spin move. It's a legendary spin move.
Mike, they tried to have a guy stand there and block. This is unreal. Like, what are we doing?
Oh man!
But let me add this though to what you were saying though, because I think there is something though, because I agree with you, because like Goff just has a completely different switch. Like he will just check it down. He will just like ground it. He just has it. He's not going to try to force it. But I think in fairness to Stafford, one thing that was different between what Stafford had and what Goff had, I think Brad Holmes brought it up about Goff, or actually Dan Campbell did, is that when you're in those situations, when your defense is pretty bad and you can't run the ball, you have to kind of play with a different mindset. So in fairness to Stafford, there's sometimes it's like I had to play with a different mindset, because it's like what Brad's done is he's built such a good team, and he's building this so well and it's so well rounded that you don't have to get outside of yourself. But remember, Goff had some interceptions at the beginning of the year, but he's trying to play outside of Seattle. It's like, dude, they're scoring every single possession. There's only so much I can do. So, but yeah, I mean, they're different.
I think I was just ready to move on from him.
I get it.
He was 33 at that point, or 32, 33. He broke his spine twice. I was like, you know what? It's time to move on. He ain't going to win here. Let's go get some draft picks. Yeah. And then we got Jared Goff, a younger quarterback. I think they both got positives to their game, and they both got negatives to their game. Stafford is a gunslinger, and he can throw picks and pick sixes. That pisses me off, man. Like, I remember watching these games. God dang it, another pick six. Like, it just riled me up. Yep. But then you seen, like, last year, Jared Goff throw it away on fourth down. It's like, what are you doing, man? You don't throw it away on fourth down. Yeah. But I mean, but that's all quarterbacks. They all have ups and downs, and like you said, you just got to surround your quarterback with talent, and let him do his thing. But yeah, I'm fine with the trade. I was definitely not one of those guys that you can't win without Stafford. I'm like, come on, man, you can win without him. He's not like the end all be all. He's not some god or anything. What do you think about O'Sorn?
Honestly,
go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say, I feel like the reason that thought would come by is because we were so bad at building teams. Like for any other team, you would think like, nah, you can win with there are teams that win without having quarterbacks. But we were so bad at building a team. We had a guy that was like, this is not gonna happen. But Brad is like, I think Brad's given us a completely different perspective as Lions fans that I don't know if we've seen. It's like we hit on a lot of our draft picks. Most guys we bring in are impactful. It's unreal. He's changed, I think, the entire mindset of what it looks like as Lions fan. Yeah,
he knows how to find talent in the draft. I think I've talked to you with this because you've been doing this for years too. We talked that how you build a team is through the draft. You complement free agency. You get a piece here and there. But if you don't get talent in the draft and you constantly strike out, your team's going to be the Detroit Lions. You can get a great pick like a Calvin Johnson or a Barry Sanders or even a Matthew Stafford. But if you don't get other talent around there, it doesn't really matter. Like you can't, one player's not going to win you every game. It's not how it works.
Nope.
You gotta have these James Houstons you find in the 6th round. It's like you have to do that. That's just part of it. You know, you look at the 49ers, they get Tufunga over there, a late round draft pick, and that's what you got to do. Good GMs find talent in the later rounds. It's not just the 1st round. It's 2nd round, which we've sucked at. It's 3rd round, 4th round, 5th round, 6th round, 7th round, and you look at Brad Holmes, undrafted rookie, and a Jerry Jacobs too. So that's what you do. I think that's why this rebuild went quicker than we all expect. I think it went quicker than I expected.
Yeah, he sit on so many people. It shouldn't have went this fast, to be honest with you. He sit on so many. He sit on so many players. He sit on so many players. But to your point, that's what the Rams did. They were so good at picking up guys from different spots that they didn't have to invest much in. That they were able to continue to trade for big names because their safeties were 7th round picks. Their linebacker in the Super Bowl year, they had a 7th round pick there. It was like they can do that. Not many teams can do that, but they can invest barely in positions and get away with it. Invest heavy in premium positions, and it works.
That's why I love doing mock drafts, 7th-round mock drafts, because you can still find talent in the later rounds. James Houston, and you've seen it with Amon-Ra first down. You've seen it with Jerry Jacobs undrafted. You look at the 49ers, Brock Purdy, late-round draft pick. Like, you can find talent. Tufunga, then you get Seattle Seahawks, their corner that they picked up later in the draft. It's part of it, man. Like, there's talent out there. You just got to be able to scout. But we've been on for an hour, and I got to get ready to go to a rehab and make my back a little bit better. And I appreciate everybody hanging out. You guys are absolutely awesome. And, Dose, what do you got to say to the folks before we close this bad boy out?
Don't dip your toast in your soup. Mike, appreciate you having me on, man.
I was not expecting that.
Look, did you, what did you expect, man? I mean, look, this is why I'm here. You told me when you invited me you wanted that at the end, so there you go, man. No, appreciate you having me, man. I'm excited, and shout out to everybody that's in the chat. I can't see you, but shout out to being in here. Appreciate you.
Yeah, man, appreciate everybody hanging out today. Make sure he said something about dipping your toast in soup.
Don't dip your toast in your soup.
Man, that's good. Depending on what it is, dog. I think you're crazy, man. I think it's crazy. Man, it's crazy.
I feel nauseous, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy. Had to work hard, struggle just to be me. Had to rise up just so they could see me. Did what I had to do just to feed me. And what was left over I put towards my dreaming. But the only thing in life that has meaning are the things you gotta work for, believe me. Take into your hands a plan. Your own hands can land your own brand. And damn, I feel like no one takes accountability. They want the credibility, convincingly unwilling to put in the hours it takes to get some power. Don't be f***ing sour. Take a cold shower. Scream until you're louder. Work until you're prouder. And f*** all the doubters, they're just your downers. I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm off at these fucking clowns who were all taught they deserve an ounce. It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it.